presentation, I'm going to share with you how to fill out a booking bid from my travel website. Okay, so I'm partial to Firefox, so that's what I will be using for showing you how to log on to the link. Okay, so first, of course, put the web address in, which is www.thecritiquetravel.com. Okay, so once you get to the website, if you are interested in just booking a bid, you just click right here on this link, and another tab will open for you so that you can fill out the form. I highly recommend reading the information that I provide, because when you book a trip through me, unlike doing it through a travel agent perhaps, or a third-party provider such as Expedia, I basically allow you to kind of let me know what you're looking for, and then I go on the hunt for you. The process of booking a bid is twofold. Number one, filling out this form, which lets me know what you're looking for. And number two, if I accept your bid, meaning your bid is something reasonable, it's nothing that needs to be changed, the second part of this process is that you will at that point have to pay the $50 for yourself and the $25 for any additional persons who you would like for me to look for a flight for, as well as accommodations for. Now, so that you know, if I am unable to find you your bid that you're looking for, then it is fully refundable for you to get your money back. So all is not lost. However, if I find a bid that meets your criteria and I book it, it's totally non-refundable. So for that reason, I encourage you to look into getting travel insurance if there is a possibility that you will not be able to take this flight. So just make sure that when you book your bid, you do so with confidence that this is something that you're interested in doing. If for any reason you decide in the midst of me searching for your perfect flight and all of that, you decide you want to cancel your request, then I do, however, still, I will give you a partial refund if you decide to cancel for any reason other than, like if there was a death in the family, you're sick, you lose your job. But if some frivolous reason that you decide that you don't want to take this trip, and I've already put in the time investment in searching for flights for you, then yes, I will require that there be some compensation for the time that I've invested. But other than that, like I said, bid with confidence, knowing that if I find you your flight, you've saved yourself a ton of money. And trust me when I say I am not exaggerating. I have booked flights for as low as $265 traveling to international port like Iceland. So here's where we start. The first thing you want to do is you want to put your name. So you want to give me your title, whether that's Mrs. or Miss. Then you want to tab over to provide your first name, and then you want to tab again. If you have a middle name, provide your middle name. The most important thing to remember about this is your name should be listed here as it is listed on your passport. So if you have a nickname, something you like to be called, this is not the place for you to put that. What you want to put here is your legal name as it appears on your passport, not on your driver's license. I suspect the same thing would be on your social security card, but even if it's not, it has to match your passport. I will also not refund money if you're unable to take your trip because it didn't match your passport. So it's extremely important that you have your passport in front of you when you're making these bids so that your information is correct. Okay. So then you also want to put your last name in the proper space. If you are a junior, if you are third, this applies to men, then you will have a suffix and make sure it appears exactly as it does on your passport. If your official name, if the name that's on your birth certificate or your social security card is a third, but the name that's on your passport is not a third, do not put the third. It needs to look exactly as it does on your passport. Okay, so then here you want to put your passport country, and currently I'm not opening up my venue to providing services for people who are not in either the US of A or Canada, and I have my reasons. I don't have enough experience with knowing what the pricing market is like in other countries, and I don't have access to that. So unfortunately, if you are looking at this and you do not reside in the US of A or in Canada, then I am not able to assist you. But you want to put your passport country here. You want to put your passport number. You want to put your passport expiration date. And you want to put your age category. If you're between the ages of 65 and older, if you're an adult, 1964, or children 2 to 18. And the reason why you want to do that is because pricing can be different depending on that. There's sometimes discounts and rewards. So if you fall into whichever category, wear it with dignity. So if you have special needs, this is very important. You must fill this out and let me know. If you have special needs, such as a requirement for wheelchair or have some other disability that requires assistance, you want to check that here so that when you get to the airport, those things can be provided for you. Okay, so if that's you, click yes. Not, stick with no. So, let's say you have a seat preference. This is not a required statement, but if you have a seat preference, such as you just only travel, business class, or if you have to travel first class, or if you have a preference in terms of traveling via an exit window so that you can have more leg room, these are things that you need to state. And if you click yes, you will see that more options are provided for you. So if you have a seat preference, then click here what your preference is, whether it's a window seat, an aisle seat, a middle seat, an exit seat. If you want to be near the bathroom, if you need extended leg room. And the reason why I say that is because depending on the airline that you go with, they have different lingo. So for instance, if you're on Wild Air, they don't really have like a first class. What they offer is more like you can get seats based on size of that seat and the amount of legroom space that it provides you. So your upgraded seat will give you more legroom than just your average standard seat. So for that reason, you can click more than one as well. So you can choose extended leg room, you can choose near bathroom, you can click all of these if they apply to you. If you do not have a seat preference, which I would highly recommend you not, mainly because that's going to affect your budget, but also because you're just going to get a better price if you can just take a standard seat. with perhaps, it's just going to be a better price. So if a seat preference doesn't matter to you, you just want the lowest price you can get, then just click no, and then the option is taken away from you, as you just saw. So now we're going to talk about dining preferences. Most airlines traveling abroad provide meals. If the one you get should provide this service, it is important that you let me know if it is a specific diet that you have to have. If you are vegan, if you are kosher, if you are halal, whatever your meal preference, this is important for me to know so that when I am booking for you, I can provide a full service package for you. I want to make it so simple for you that all you have to do is show up at the airport on time. You don't have to worry about trying to trace down a confirmation number, a reservation ticket number, or anything like that. All of this will be provided to you through your email, so that the only thing you have to do when you're ready to take your flight is show up in the place. Okay, so by making this available for you, you don't have to go on the website, you don't have to find your confirmation and figure out how to do all of this, but it's all optional. Be advised, if you decided, hey, later on something changes after everything is confirmed and you decide, okay, I think I do want to choose a certain meal plan, then you will have the information you need to go on to the website and select whatever other options you desire to make. Most times, in most cases, airlines will make this service available to you up to 48 hours before your flight leaves. So if anything changes, you can make those changes. These kind of things usually will not affect your price point. So it's not like they're going to charge you extra for making those changes. Not for dining or anything like that. Okay, so here we have destination. Here on this particular booking bid, you can only choose one destination. Now, I have provided what I call wildcard traveling services, and that's a completely different form if you're interested in that. And wildcard traveling services is just for those who want to go on vacation. They're not picky about where they go, other than if it's international, they want to go over the waters, over the big sea, then hey, you can choose international, but you're not picky in terms of whether it's Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia. You just want to go. Wildcard travelers have a much broader base from which they can choose from. So if you go to that particular link, which you can find under, if you click on the TC Travel Club, all of my forms will be available there. So you click there and you'll be able to find the information you need in terms of how to do wildcard traveling. I will also condense this, of course, but put this in a written form so that those who are filling out the form will have it both ways to help you to fill it out. But I tried to make the form as intuitive as possible so that you have an explanation in terms of what everything is while you're filling it out, which is why it's a little bit more expanded. So destination, I need you to be specific. In destination, if you're wanting to go to, let's say, LaGuardia, you can either put in your airport code, LGA, or if you put in New York, that's fine too. Because what'll happen is if you give me a state, even if it's multiple airports, I have the ability to look at multiple airports. So sometimes maybe JFK will be cheaper than LaGuardia. So if that's the case, then that's the one you'll get. So I'll do, but if there's a specific airport that you would prefer to come out of, put the airport code. That will restrict me to only looking for that particular airport in terms of destination. So, departure airports. Departure airports, I give you multiple options because if you live in small areas, like for instance, I live in Chatham. So if you're living in some place that's really small and your airports in your area are smaller regional airports, not international airports, then you have multiple options. If you don't mind traveling 3 or 4 hours by car to get to an airport that is an international airport, it can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. This is how we are able to travel for as low as we do. If you are restricted to saying, hey, I'm only willing to go 30 minutes and the closest airport to you is, let's say, Columbia, CAE in Columbia, South Carolina, well, all I can tell you is expect that you may not get the price that you want. I may not be able to meet your budget. In fact, I'm going to go on the record of saying, essentially, if you cannot fly out of an international airport, there's no point in you even putting a bid in. If the only airport, unless your budget is high, because I cannot get you the deep prices for a good rate that way. Now, if you tell me that you're willing to fly from, let's say, Dallas, but you're not willing to drive from Dallas, well, that's a different situation. Because if the issue is you're not willing to drive that far, then there are other ways you can get there. If you're willing to do a Greyhound, or you're willing to do a mega bus, or you're willing to do a train to take you from here to there, then we can still connect you depending on where you're located, so that you may still only have to drive an hour. For instance, if you're in some place like Ruston and the closest train is in Shreveport, well, you may have to drive an hour to get to Shreveport, but from there, then you can take a train to Dallas, and then you get to Dallas, and then I get you through how you can actually get from the Dallas train depot to the Dallas Fort Worth Airport, or to the Love Fields Airport, whichever one you fly from. But I do need to know which airports that you're willing to depart from. And the more airports you're willing to depart from, the greater your chances are of getting a favorable budget or favorable rate. Again, we're not talking about pennies that you're going to save. We're talking about hundreds of dollars. I don't even suggest it. If there's a way that I can get you to an airport that's closer to you, and I can get it, and it's like $100 difference, I would just tell you, take the one that's closest to you. But we're talking hundreds of dollars difference. Sometimes $300, $400, $500 could be $1,000 difference. So, again, as many airports as you're willing to fly from. And this departure airport, remember, this is just where you're starting from, okay? So, what I mean by that is, the way I do it is I'm able to find cheap flights, but not necessarily are the only layovers you're going to have the ones that come connected with your initial flight. Sometimes I have to get really creative. And in that creativity, that could mean that I have a great example. I have a flight that says, okay, I could take you from Chicago to Tel Aviv for $300 round trip. But your closest departure airport to you may be Dallas, Fort Worth, or Love Field. So I have to make a whole separate flight itinerary that will take you from Dallas, Fort Worth to Chicago. So there's a pretty big difference between those two. So keep that in mind, that sometimes I have to get creative. And if I have to get creative in that way, then you still will leave from Dallas, Fort Worth, but you're going to have more layovers, and you're going to have to And you'll be informed. I'll let you know that you have to recheck in, because if these are two separate flights that I'm doing, then it's like you're starting over when you get to the next destination. So you will have, I will always look to try to provide you at least a 3-hour window. And it could be more than that. It might be, if there's nothing within the 3 hour and I have to expand it, it could be a whole day difference. So keep that in mind, but we will be able to get you your flight at that rate. Okay, so best price guarantee. I guess you could say I'm a lot like Priceline in some ways, except a little bit more personable, and I provide more services. But a lot like Priceline, where you get to choose what you're willing to pay, and then I lock it in for you. But the best price guarantee, some of the third-party providers that I use offer an option where for a little bit more, it could be $5, $9. The price varies depending on the cost of your ticket. But what that extra money gives you is a guarantee that if the price should come down less than what you paid for your ticket between the time that you're going to take your flight, they will give you the difference back. So you'll get money refunded to you if there is a cheaper flight. Okay, so class preference. Now, when you start talking about class preference, now we're talking more about your first class and, you know, all those sorts of things. The other one was talking about leg room, but now we're talking about luxury. Not so much leg room. Leg room is included, but now we're talking about luxury. If this is not a preference to you, click no. If it is a preference to you, just know in advance your budget's going to have to be bigger, because it's going to cost more for those tickets. So click yes if this is something that's for you, something that you should explore. And as you see, class preference, I have an option: first class, premium, premium economy, and business class. So you can choose which one you know that works for you. And don't worry, because I do offer, as you're going to see later on, options so that if you are a part of travel clubs, like you're with Delta Sky Miles, or you with American Airlines certain thing, and or you have a Visa card that give you reward points, we are going to try to exhaust all of the resources that are available to you that we can possibly get, so that we can get you the best tickets. Okay, so if this is not for you, again, like I say, click no, that goes away. Okay, so travelers, here is where you're going to list how many people you will be traveling with you. Okay, and this is where I said I charge a booking fee per person. And this is why it's important, and this is why I do it. Because some people may say, hey, well, it doesn't cost you, it shouldn't cost you anything more because you're doing the same work. But I beg to differ. Number one, the thing about finding cheap flights is that there's a limited amount of tickets that you can usually get at a cheap rate. That being the case, although it seems like it shouldn't take anything extra to do that, depending, which is why I prefer to work with smaller groups. Sometimes I can get 4 tickets at a certain price. But then after that 4, if you got 5 people coming, now I got one person who's going to be left out. They're not going to be able to get that same per ticket price. And if we're talking about children, if we're talking about, you're not going to want to have your child on a whole different plane from you going to an international port, or any port for that matter. So now that means I have to figure out how, after I get these 4 tickets, how I'm going to get this 5th person still within the same budget on the same flight. So what I'm saying is each person requires each person's worth of work. I have to put all that information in for each person. Okay, even though it's going on the same credit card that you provide for me, I still have to put their names, their passport information, all of that. There's a confirmation ticket number separate for each person. There's when you're talking about seating preferences, I have to do that for each person. So it is still a lot of work to do, even though there's multiple people. So, but because it's not as much work as the initial, then it is less. I charge only half price for each additional person. So if it's just you, all you got to do for travelers is keep it on no. If it is more than you, then you need to click yes. Okay, now, number of guests. This is where, again, as you see, if it's extra person, you click, you just keep clicking for however many people. So if you're telling me it's 4 people, it's 4 people at $25 per person. And the first person is $50, and then the next 3 people is $25 per person. And don't worry, this bid is not the one that you pay the booking fee for. This is just your bid, and then once you put your bid in, I have to assess whether or not I can find something, or if I feel confident that I can find something within a rate that is within your budget. If I accept your bid, then you will be given a separate form to fill out, because I don't start working until your money has been transferred over for your booking. So once that's been transferred, you will receive an actual form that will include what the total fee will be for the amount of people that you choose. So if it's 2 of you going, expect that you're going to see a booking fee for $75, $50 for the first person, $25 for the additional person. And then you add a third person, then it's going to be another $25. Okay, so here, what I stated before, discount card or Sky Miles you would like to add. If you have that, click yes. And as you can see, your discount card number can be added here. If you do not, no, and we just move on. I do not have any of these things. Sky Miles, discount cards. I don't use any of those things. I do have a credit card that I can use some reward points for, but for the most part, I found a lot of deals without having any of this. So don't think that your chances of getting a good flight are going to be significantly weakened because you don't have Sky Miles. I can find you great deals without any of that. So trip type, round trip or one way. So you tell me which flights, if I'm taking you both ways or if I'm looking one way. Pick your departure time and your return time so I know which dates I'm looking for. Let me know if your dates are flexible. One of the reasons why I haven't been able to find good deals for certain people is because their dates are inflexible. Because they work, they have to leave on a Friday and you have to be back on a Sunday. If this is you, you are missing out on amazing deals. Let me explain. Everybody is understanding how airlines work and cheap prices work is simple. It's supply and demand. As long as there is a great demand, the supply is going to be lower, which means the price is going to be higher. As long as there's a great supply, that means the demand is lower, so that means the price is lower. So if you understand that principle, then you understand the importance of being able to be flexible. I understand that if you work a certain job, they're not going to let you off. I get it. But just expect that if you have these restraints with your timing and your schedule, that your budget needs to reflect that, because it's not going to be easy to get you a really good price if you're leaving on days that are hot flying days that everybody wants to fly for the same reason you want to fly that time. So if you are flexible, just click yes, and that means that gives me a little bit more leeway so that I can have a couple of days before or a couple of days after the dates that you selected to get you the best rates. I do ask for contact information, because if I find myself in a situation where you say yes and but you still would prefer to leave a certain time, I will try to get your approval first. But be advised that you need to be in a position where your phone is on, or whatever form of communication you choose. You're going to have to be able to have access to it on a regular basis. So if you want me to text you, then I'll text you. But be advised, if I text you, you need to be able to respond within like 5 minutes or less, because that's just how quick the prices can change. So if I find a flight that's 2 days before, 2 days after the date that you selected, and you're like, okay, yes, book it, then I'll get it. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to book it. So the thing to say is, if your dates are not flexible at all, meaning, I gotta leave on a Friday, I gotta come back on a Sunday, I understand that. If I don't find anything that's within your budget for that time frame, I don't get it. If you click yes though, and I find something, but you have to leave on a Wednesday instead of a Friday, and you have to come back on a Monday instead of a Sunday, I'm booking it. And once those tickets are in, they're in. So I want to make that very clear. So make sure, let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. If you are flexible, that's what flexible means. If you're not, well, then say no. Okay, so travel months are only accessible for if you are flexible. If you're not flexible, you won't see that. And the reason why I do that is because some people have even more flexibility than that. This is a vacation. They may, you may homeschool your kids, so you can take a vacation whenever. But you just have to meet a certain budget, because you may have that as your criteria. If that's the case, then if you can be months later. I had a friend who wanted to go on a vacation trip. She said, hey, I only got $300, but I want to go international. Anywhere overseas that you could take me. Okay. But this is the key. Her birthday was in July. However, the best flight was in August. So to save her $300, $400, $500, she's willing to celebrate her birthday a month later. If this is your situation, you will be able to definitely get what you need. If you're not flexible at all, then you're probably going to be at the higher end of your budget. So, flight time preferences, AM or PM. If there's a particular time you need to be there, lots of times this is only going to matter if you're going for a specific event. But if there's a certain time you prefer to travel, it could also be because you might be planning on traveling by train. And if you're traveling by train schedule, that's, a lot of times you have to do it based on when you can be there on that same day. So you get to choose your flight time preference. Travel exclusion days. If it doesn't matter what day of a week you travel on, then your answer is no. If you have a preference, then your answer is yes. So if you honor the Shabbat, the Sabbath, which I am a Sabbath keeper, so for me, traveling Saturdays is out during the day. Now, Saturday evening is a different story. Friday during the day, not a problem. Friday evening, a different story. So, if you have specific days that you will not travel, then I know if I see any good flights, but it's on that day, then I just keep moving. Flight preferences. None. If you don't care whether or not you have layovers or not, then just click none. If you want non-stop, then click non-stop. Now, if you click non-stop, once again, the prices for non-stop trips are more expensive. So meeting your budget is going to be a lot more difficult if you require a non-stop flight. Now, the perks to doing layovers is it's like 2 trips in one. If you have a long enough layover in an exotic place, you have now the liberty, the flexibility to be able to see what you can see in those places, as well as go to where you plan on going. So personally, I like layover opportunities, and I look for them, especially if it's someplace I wanted to always go. So and if that's something that's an option to you, if that's something that's interesting to you, I offer flight itineraries. And what a flight itinerary is, now there is additional fee for that, but what I will actually do is I will do the research to put together something that you can do based on your interests, something that you can do within the time frame that you will have your layover. So for instance, if you have a 9-hour layover, let's say in Paris, and you always want to see the Eiffel Tower, I could put together an itinerary that will tell you where you need to go to pick up your train tickets, because I'm going to try to find you the cheapest rate. If you try to do something that's by a private car, you're going to pay $400 easily just to go see the Eiffel Tower. But if you have that kind of leeway, that kind of time, there is a way that you can catch a bus that will take you to a subway. Subway will take you close enough to where now you can just walk to the Eiffel Tower, see what you want to see, and then go back the same way. So I provide those resources for you, for those who are adventurous enough to give it a shot. Kind of give you an expectation of what you will actually pay to travel that way, which is very reasonable, especially compared to what it's going to cost you to do a private tour. So if that's something that you're interested in, and that is an additional fee, but that's also an additional service that I can provide you. So here we go. Will you need airport parking? So if you are going to travel by train, obviously you don't need this. If you're going to be traveling by rental car, you don't need this. But if you think you're going to need this, another service I provide that is not any additional fee to your booking is I will go ahead and provide you with airport parking. If you need it, click yes. I'll book your reservation, tell you the hotel that you would need to go to, get all the information that you can have, tell you what you need to print out. All that will be sent directly to you so that you can have everything you need. Okay, will you need travel insurance? So saying yes to this option is included in your projected budget, which means that when I'm looking for a ticket for you, I'm going to be looking within the budget that you give me for a ticket that's going to, first for the ticket, but also that will include travel insurance. So I will research travel insurance options that will allow you to stay within your budget. So if you need travel insurance, click yes. Now when I look for travel insurance, there's certain things about travel insurance that's going to be a little bit different. So if you're getting travel insurance, you need to know what you need travel insurance for. For that reason, I will create a list of different travel insurance options that's within your budget, that will keep you inside of the budget that you gave me, that you can choose from, and you can review which one you would prefer. Now, because the insurance is purchased, it does not have to be purchased at the same time as a ticket. You have a little bit more leeway in terms of time to really think about it, to look it over, to see what's going to be your best interest. Then I send you the information. You let me know which one you prefer, and then I'll lock it in for you. If that's more work than you really want to do, you just want the travel insurance, you can opt to also give me insurance must-haves. So that way, that helps me to narrow down what I send to you. I will still email you the options that's available, but now I will email the options that's available based on them providing what you put here as travel insurance must-haves. And so the key there is what's going to be different is the amount they may give you. So in other words, if medical is provided and that's something that's a must-have, well, one company may give you $25,000, another company may give you $10,000. It may also be reflected in the price. The price is obviously going to be higher for the more insurance you get, but it still may be less than what your projected budget is. But at any rate, you get to choose that, and you may have a preference for one insurance provider over another. You may say, nah, I don't really know them too much, I don't want them. And then there may be another one that you're familiar with, and you say, okay, I'll go with them. So you get to make those decisions. I just try to provide those options to you, and then you just let me know which one you want. Okay, so now here is the infamous trip budget that I've been speaking about through this whole process so often. The trip budget is important because your trip budget tells me how much per ticket that you're willing to pay. So when I look at per ticket, anything that you request in addition to that, I'm adding that into that per ticket rate. So give you an example. If you put it here, you have a budget of $600, okay? Let's say you tell me $600 is what you want to pay per ticket. If I find a ticket for $559, okay, but you said you want travel insurance included, that means that with the travel insurance included, then it will have to be under $40 per person at least. So I'm going to get you options under that to meet your budget. But that's per ticket. So if you are getting 4 tickets, okay? Okay, so with the budget limitations, I want to give you some extra wiggle room. So if you put, I got $100 that I can play with. Meaning if I find something that's going to allow you to have everything, great example is the ticket $600, costs $40 for your insurance, $640. The $100 extra says, okay, I'm willing to go this far up. Some people there may be no, or there may be a greater limitation. They may say 0. So I can't go any higher than 600. That's my max. Or I can't go any higher than 620 or 640. But this gives me some leeway. So I know that we're aiming for 600, but for the right ticket, I'm willing to go as high as 100. Okay, here. So now we're down here at the name as it appears on your credit card. So here is not like it does on your passport. This is so that I can have the information necessary to buy your ticket. So all of your credit card information has to be here. So if your middle name is just the initial on your credit card, that's what you put here. Billing address. It needs to be whatever your billing address is for your credit card that you use. Credit card type, card number, the CVC code is the code that's on the back of your credit card, expiration date. Now, here I want to talk about some options too. Some people have concerns, and I'm one of them, so I am in the category, about having their debit card, using their debit card. Some people don't have a credit card or they use a debit card. If you don't want to use a debit card, I fully understand that. In fact, one great way, a great option for doing this is to purchase yourself a trip prepaid Visa card. You can just make it your trip Visa card. Don't have to be a special card that says trip. But what I'm saying is, purchase you a Visa or a prepaid card. Doesn't have to be a Visa, but it should be something like a Visa or MasterCard or Discover, something like that. American Express is not accepted by every provider, so you kind of want to shy away from something that can limit how you can purchase your tickets. So if you're going to use anything, I say Visa is just the best. Everyone accepts Visa, but get you a Visa prepaid card. Put what you want just for your trip on this card. This is a great way of separating your money out so that you don't have to worry about any more than what you actually willing to pay being on it or not. If you want to make the whole trip, in terms of your booking fee, you want to put your and your ticket trip money on one card, that's fine. You can use that same card to pay the booking fee that you have to pay me. Just make sure that you keep track of that, and also make sure if you're going to use a prepaid card, because it can take a month. It could take a month or 2 months before I find this fabulous deal for you. So that being the case, make sure you know whether or not the prepaid card charges any sort of fees. Some may charge a $1 fee or a $5 fee per month for having money sitting in there. So if that is the case, you want to know that in advance so that you know that you need to add more money to the card. Okay. So also, if you're going to use a prepaid card, be advised that when you do your trip budget, that you definitely don't put any budget limitations, that it does not exceed what you keep on that card, because you could lose out on a ticket simply because it's going to reject your card because it doesn't have enough funds on it. If this should happen, your booking fee will be non-refundable. So make sure that you have whatever it is that you have within your budget in it. If your budget's not realistic, like if I say I don't think I'm going to find anything for that price, if based on the parameters that you set, then I may send you back a rejection letter with a requirement for you to increase your budget. And if all that's required for you to be able to get the deal of a century is that your budget has to be increased. And remember, this is just your budget. It is quite possible that I could find you a deal that is far less than what you're budgeting for. So if you budgeting for $1,000, I could find you a ticket that might be only $500. We're just saying that you want to give a budget that is workable, so that way you can be wowed by how good a savings you have versus being disappointed by the fact that you couldn't find anything. So anyway, also specify, like I said, if it's debit card, prepaid, or credit card. These are things I need to know. Another reason why I need to know that is depending on what kind of card it is. Sometimes the little CVC code is not on the back for certain prepaid cards like they are for others. So that's information that needs to be known, so that way I can say if it's being rejected, I understand why it's being rejected, and I can contact you and say I need to have this code, and I can tell you it's going to be on the front of your card if the one on the back is the one that didn't work. Okay, now email, phone, and contact preference. I do want both. I need to have an email and a phone number, because if I need to get you immediately, I will call you or text you. Email, I mean, most people don't just have their emails just ready stayed on ready at any time during the day so they can be contacted. So that's just that. So here we have emergency contact name. This is information that I would need to have to put on your ticket. Most of the times when you purchase a ticket, they also have an option for you to put emergency contact. So this is where that information would go. And then all you do once all this information is filled in is click submit and wait for a response. And this is the beginning process of booking a trip with the Critique